Hey YouTube, good day. A short lunchtime chat, I guess. I wanted to bring up, I guess just a point of discussion. I expect some feedback, I guess. But there's been a lot of frustration the last year or so with people about, I guess I'd define it as a lack of action. They see a lack of action on the part of people. That I think people are trying to put their ideas or their purposes on other people, trying to define what other people's purposes are. Maybe that's the way to say it. And so I just got to thinking about it, what's going on. People demanding that other people take action because of something that they've claimed or said, or I don't know how to define it, but it's basically people say they're preparing and getting ready and stuff, and other people expect them to take action on things without context. So I got you thinking, like, have you put it on, the individual, have you really defined the purpose of your preparations? I think most people have identified certain events that have led them to think that preparing and doing what they're doing is the thing to do. And even further beyond that, most people think, it seems to be a general thought that if you purport to be in any sort of group or organization or team structure, that your purpose is to go forth throughout the land and cleanse the land of all tyranny. And I'm pretty sure nobody's. I'm pretty sure that's nobody's purpose. I don't think it's realistic, for one. I think in theory and in thought it would be great and everybody would aspire to do something as grand, but in reality I don't think anybody everybody realizes that's not going to happen. You form a team, you form a group, or you join one or whatever, and you identify your purpose as self-sufficiency, or not self-sufficiency, but mutual defense, mutual support. That is your purpose. Mutually support each other in defense, and to just get through tough times that are coming. I think is what most people define their purpose as. I think a real good example of those types, or what most people would view as like the gold standard, would be Southern Prepper 1 and what he's done and doing and will continue to do, and the new Survivalist, a survival doc from way back when. His YouTube has been not very prevalent lately, but years ago he did a lot of build-up videos, and you can see the results in the few videos he does put out now. And it's all about the mutual support and defend type structure of their group. And I think that's what, when we see things happen around the country, people automatically point to people, not only just like them, but all of us. Certain people will point out, like, where are you? Why aren't you there helping them? Well, it's not our purpose. It would be great, and sometimes, and in some instances, you can go help, maybe. Obviously, we've seen a couple of examples of those situations where the Hammonds in justice, people wanted to go support them in a certain way and out of respect for the Hammonds. And before that, the Bundys. but you can't expect people to step outside their purpose when yours doesn't align with what they want, what their original intent was. That's for sure. You can't just expect people with that purpose to run around the country. That's for sure either. And that goes back to what we've been talking about for years is you have to build something up in your community, in your local area. You can't rely on outside help or expect it, especially if things get as bad as we expect they are and as isolated as people are going to be isolated. When things start to get cut off, I don't know, that's not going to be anybody but you and yours on your own. So sharply defining your purpose and understanding that 99% of you out there, your purpose is mutual support, mutual defense with those that you can. For the lone, if there's any lone wolves listening, you should have turned this off a long time ago. But I know I have always. People need to steer away from that. That's not going to get anybody anywhere, and it's not going to last long. The lone wolf mentality. We got Tactical Tony on board, I think. He's settled down a little bit and trying to make some wise decisions. You can still be vocal in your opinions, but it's actions that matter, and keeping your actions within a certain guideline, I guess, boundary, within certain boundaries is important. Because if you're in a group or any type of team or even family, if you go off and do something lone wolf style, all you're doing is hurting everybody else around you in the long run, because 90% of the time, anything that an individual does without support comes back to haunt everybody else and hurts the cause. So just some thoughts about purpose. Eradicating the lone wolf mentality. I think like the Malheur Refuge situation, you had basically 14 lone wolves that wanted to, that has happened to get together, I think. And that was unfortunate. But if anybody would have stopped and thought about how this is mutually supportive of each other, they might have come up with a better plan to bring attention to the situation, like they were talked about, or their intent was at first, although the intent kept changing. So let's don't even talk about that. It's not that important to this discussion. It's over. So just understanding what your group and team purpose is, so that you can be clearly defined in your goals in the future and not get easily swayed or have individuals leading people astray, which is usually the case whenever they're infiltrated and somebody recommends something that somebody else does. If somebody recommends something, they're not willing to do it themselves. They're probably not on the team. They're an instigator. So want to shy away from those types, of course. But again, if it's not in the best interest of the team, if it's a lone wolf action, it's probably not a good idea. Putting a device outside of a empty cabin in the middle of the forest doesn't send a message to anybody, doesn't accomplish anything, doesn't mutually support anybody, doesn't mutually benefit anybody. Just as an example. People need to be smarter. Keep your group smarts. Try to steer each other away from types who mention such things. So that'll be it, folks. Have a good day. It's a pretty nice one here. Live free. Live free.